Tensions between NATO and Russia have flared up again, with NATO officially opening its command center in a Finnish city bordering Russia. The latter is now ramping up its bases and building military infrastructure near the Finnish border, this according to recent satellite imagery confirmed by NATO officials. Sources say, as of now, the move appears to be in the early stages of a longer-term expansion. NATO officials say this is nothing like the buildup along the Ukrainian border before Russia's full-scale invasion back in 2022. Finnish defense officials predict that if the high-intensity phase of the war in Ukraine ends, Russia will redeploy thousands of troops to the Finnish frontier. As for NATO's command center, it began operations in Mikkeli, Finland on October 3rd and is located approximately 300 kilometers from St. Petersburg, Russia. The headquarters' work will strengthen NATO's defense capabilities and increase security in Finland. At present, it employs about 10 people, with a peacetime staff expected to reach 50. According to Finnish Defense Ministry, the headquarters will plan and coordinate NATO ground forces activities in Northern Europe. Under normal conditions, it will be responsible for NATO drills and other activities. In emergency conditions, it will plan command and control land operations and defense in the high north. The so-called High Alert Headquarters will operate around the clock under the authority of NATO's command in Norfolk, Virginia, on the U.S. East Coast. Drone sightings and air incursions, including in Copenhagen and Munich, are the recent flashpoints between NATO and Russia. On September 10th, a swarm of Russian drones flew into Poland's airspace, forcing NATO aircraft to scramble to intercept them and shoot down some of the devices. It was the first direct encounter between NATO and Moscow since Russia launched its all-out war on Ukraine in 2022. Earlier on the broadcast, we were joined by Scott Lucas, who is a professor of international politics at the Clinton Institute, University College, Dublin. And here's what he had to say.
This NATO headquarters, which is, to coordinate land forces in the northern sector, has been planned since autumn of 2023. That was only a few months, you might remember, after Finland joined NATO as its 31st state. It is not there as a base for thousands of troops. So it's very, very different from the Russian buildup in that sense. Instead, as you mentioned, you're talking about 10 personnel to start off with in Mikkeli, where this is located, and then this will expand to around 50 personnel. So it's part of, what you would consider NATO's standard planning as you develop the bloc, with not only Finland but Sweden joining. That said, tensions have escalated, but they have escalated because of the Russians. And you also mentioned this, that in recent weeks we've talked about major Russian drone incursion into Poland, around 20 of them, some of whom were shot down.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.